Alright, Shalom. I would like to start off by giving all praises to Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai. Also, double honors to the elder apostles of GMS who rule well. And also honor and salutations to those of you who are of the hopeful elect or of the elect. Alright, so with that being said, today's topic is it's gonna be short. Not much to it. I just got an article or two I want to read. But lately in the news has been this thing about the FCC repealing net neutrality. I thought this was pertinent because a bulk of what we do, a bulk of the word getting out to the world was due to the internet, and the ability to have kind of free reign to navigate through the internet the way you needed to get your content out there, and due to the internet being in that fashion, in that way. You gotta, today's been the age of the expose. The government has been exposed, and all these scandals coming out left and right, and ultimately the men of the Lord out here, prophesying the downfall of this place. So the internet being free the way it was, and not free as in not having to pay for it, but free meaning you could put whatever you want up, you could say whatever you wanted. It was a place where, I say it is a place, or was a place, however you want to look at it, where you could put up anything that you needed to put up. But now that they repealed net neutrality, now these on the face they'll say it's these companies that have control over what it is that's being put out there, but really it's the government, and the so-called white man Esau is the one regulating what's being said on the internet, right, or what's being put on the internet. And so this is all a part of a famine of the word. We always talk about Amos 8 and 11, and this is just another piece to that. So I want to read the scripture real quick before I forget about it. This is Matthew 24 and 13. It says, I'll start there. But he that shall endure unto the end, the same shall be saved. Right? So, those of us who are considering ourselves to be men of the Lord, who are, striving to be men of the Lord, those of us who endure to the end, those are the ones that are going to be saved. Because along with this famine of the word, along with this the internet now being policed, they're also going to use this time to persecute us and to say things about us, and now we won't have access to defend ourselves or defend the gospel that we've been preaching about, because they're gonna regulate what gets put on the internet. So those of us who endure all of this that's coming is going to be saved. Okay. Verse 14, it says, and this gospel of the kingdom shall be preached in all the world for a witness unto all nations, and then shall the end come. You see, and how that word, or how the word went out into all the world, was by the internet. Okay, the internet was that yes, a big, humongous part of us. Our gospel is us being out on the highways and byways, but the whole world was able to hear about this, due to YouTube or Daily Motion or Google Plus, or however we share content, and it was predominantly the internet. Okay, and now that's going to be regulated or taken away. Okay, so I wanted to read this article. Like I said, this is not nothing deep or heavy or nothing like that. I just want to read this article, and so you can hear about what exactly it is. So this is I don't know. Oh, the Washington Post. Okay. The Washington Post is pretty credible, right? So it says here, the FCC just voted to repeal its net neutrality rules in a sweeping act of deregulation. Okay, so it says federal regulators voted Thursday to allow internet providers to speed up service for websites they favor and block or slow down others. In a decision repealing landmark Obama-era regulations overseeing broadband companies such as AT&T and Verizon. Okay, the move by the Federal Communications Commission to deregulate the telecom and cable industries was a prominent example of the policy shifts taking place in Washington under President Trump, and a major setback for consumer groups, tech companies, and Democrats who had lobbied heavily against the decision. The 3-2 vote, which was along party lines, enabled the FCC's Republican chairman, Ajit Pai, I think is how you say his name, to follow through on his promise to repeal the government's 2015 net neutrality rules, which required internet providers to treat all websites, large and small, equally. The agency also rejected some of its own authority over the broadband industry in a bid to stymie future FCC officials who might seek to reverse the Republican-led ruling. It says, the result was a redrawing of the FCC's oversight powers at a time of rapid transformation in the media and technology sectors. The vote has also cast a spotlight on Pai, once a little-known regulator, who has become one of the faces of deregulation in the Trump era. On the eve of the vote, Pai released a video that featured him dressed as Santa, wielding a lightsaber and clutching a fidget spinner to defend his decision to repeal the net neutrality rules and mock his critics. Okay. It says, within a generation, we have gone from email as the killer app to high-definition video streaming, right? So this is how we put our content on the internet through video streaming. Okay, so what is he talking about? What are they really talking about regulating or putting a halt to? Okay, Pai said Thursday, just before the vote, entrepreneurs and innovators guided the internet far better than the heavy hand of government ever could have. So now, what are you saying? That government is now going to be the one who guides the internet. You see? Consumers might not feel the effects of this decision right away, but eventually they could begin to see packages and pricing schemes that would steer them towards some content over others, critics of the FCC's vote argue. So I wanted to go to this other article here that's kind of, let's see, right here. This was written before that last one I just read was, I think today, and this one was written before or prior to the vote went through. So I'm gonna read this to you just to hear, so you can hear a more alternative view on the repeal. Okay. So it says the Federal Communications Commission has ended net neutrality under the direction of President Trump. The decision will have a huge effect. Oh shit. The decision will have a huge effect on the way the internet works, opening the door for internet service providers to exert a huge amount of control over the internet and dictate what you use it for. Right? So what do we use it for? We use it to put our content up, our prophecy on the downfall of America, right? It says this. Here's what you need to know about net neutrality. It says, what is net neutrality? Net neutrality prevents ISPs or internet service providers from slowing down connections for people attempting to access certain sites, right? YouTube, right? Apps and services, and blocking legal content. Without the rules, they'll no longer have to treat all internet traffic equally and will be able to prioritize certain websites and services over others. Okay? It says, many of the world's biggest internet companies staged a day of protest earlier this year to highlight what could happen if net neutrality was ended. Reddit, for instance, altered its logo to make it look like it was loading extremely slowly, while the likes of Netflix and Amazon added banners to its homepage. Okay. Why is it so important? Without net neutrality, cable and phone companies could carve the internet into fast and slow lanes. Warren Saves the Internet, a coalition of organizations that have been calling for the preservation of the rules. An internet service provider could slow down its competitors' content or block political opinions it disagreed with. See? It says ISPs could charge extra fees to the few content companies that could afford to pay for preferential treatment, regulating everyone else to a slower tier of service. This would destroy the open internet. Okay. So basically, they pose it like it's something that where now, like, let's say for instance, if you're Verizon, and I think Verizon owns Yahoo and AOL, so now they can block Google search engines and Google Mail, right? And make them work slow, which would make them drive all of Verizon's customers to their service providers, right? And so forth and so on. And that's how they're posing it. But really, the removal of net neutrality is so that they can regulate what goes on the internet via the men of the Lord. Okay. So I just wanted to bring that out. I got another scripture I want to read, and then I'm out of here. This is Amos 8 and 11, of course. It says here, "Behold, the days come, saith the Lord, that I will send a famine in the land, not a famine of bread, nor of thirst for water, but of hearing the words of the Lord." You see, and that's what now we're coming into. Okay. So you can go look it up and get further into what net neutrality is all about, and what it means now that it's been removed. But I just wanted to hit brothers with that real quick. So hopefully that was edifying. Hopefully you can go a little deeper and dig some more information out of it. But again, I would like to say all praises to Yahweh B'Shem Yahweh Shai. Double honors to my elders and apostles of GMS who rule well, and also honor and salutation to those of you who are of the elect. And with that, I say shalom.